Now, Roxanne, you brought something up to me, and this actually hit a nerve because I recently had an issue with this on one of my flights.
Oh, yeah.
And yet you brought up the window shade. And
yes.
who really should be in control of the window shade? Now, go ahead and pose your question.
Okay, so you get on the flight. Everybody's paid for their seat. You happen to have the window seat. Probably costs similar to what the guy sitting next to you or girl sitting next to you paid. But do you have full control over that shade? Do you have the right to keep it up and keep it down? Is that on you? Or does somebody in your row also, do you need to be courteous of them? Do they have any input? This was an issue for me. It's kind of like buzzing around on the internet right now, but it was an issue for me. 2016, I was flying back.
2016?
No. Seriously.
All right, so hold on. This happened to me recently, like in the last couple of months.
Okay, we can go chronological backwards order then. Tell your story.
You're going back to 2016.
Yeah, because it was significant.
But you saw this recently? You read a story?
Yeah, I read a story about it because everybody traveling over the Thanksgiving holidays, so people are thinking about it.
The question is, if you have the window seat on an airplane, does that give you full autonomy for the window shade control for the row? Are you like the king of the row,
Good question.
All right.
So my issue in 2016 was on a flight from Hong Kong. And I have a very, specific, as most people do when you fly from Hong Kong to New York.
Were you there interviewing Jackie Chan?
No,
oh, okay.
I was there just last hurrah before I had kids.
Okay.
So we went to, I get on the flight and there's a woman sitting next to me, a girl. She was probably in her early 20s if I had to guess. And the first thing you do when you get on that flight is you put it down. Everybody on the entire flight had their shade down. I had just taken my melatonin.
I don't like the shades down for landing or takeoff. I like to look out the window when we land or take off. But mid-flight, when you're up at 37,000 feet for 12 hours, or even if you're doing a 2-hour flight or a 3-hour flight, it's nice to pull the window shade down because, I had a situation where the sun was it was coming across and just hitting me in the eyes and like scorching my retinas.
Yes, like a laser just burning the color right out of your eyes.
Yeah.
And so this girl, she wouldn't put the shade down. Every single shade was down on that flight. And they kind of want you to be like in kindergarten class when it's nap time on a flight that's that long.
Because also people want to sleep on a flight or they want to use the entertainment. They want to use the screen to watch TV. And if you've got a bright window shade or depending on the position of the sun, you might have the sun just shining straight through. And I had a flight recently where the glare was like cutting right across the TV screen in my seat back. And I'm trying to get this woman across the other side of the aisle to close the window. And the flight attendant went over to ask her and she like shook her head no. And it was like she told the flight attendant she has a phobia. She's got to have the window open. I mean, it was like, geez, but I've been through the same situation.
Yeah. So what I did with this girl is I shamed her into putting it down.
You window shade shamed her?
I window shade shamed her.
You're a window shade shamer.
I was one step
from hitting her.
I was going to reach over and just put it down myself.
You were one step away from hitting her?
No, I wasn't going to, there wasn't going to be a physical altercation.
Be an air marshal on the flight. You're going to be cuffed and stuffed.
Yeah, but
in a luggage bin.
I was going to reach over and shut it down. I don't think anyone on the flight would have minded because so much sunlight. It's like you're flying over, Antarctica. It's like blaring through the plane. So anyways, I shamed her into putting it down, and eventually
How did you shame her?
I just said, look around this plane. Do you see anyone else with their window shade up? And so
that did it.
Yeah, no, that's what you do. I
had this woman
different here with
I had this woman that would not put her shade down, and then she'd put it down just a little bit, and I'd still have like the sun shining into my eyeballs.
Yeah. It's wrong.
So I've been through the same thing, but I what do they say about possession is
9/10 of the law. If you have the window seat, it's your window. And boy, if you would have tried to shame me on that flight, I would have had.
We would have had a physical altercation.
Well, listen, with Festa though, Festa, you could be sitting in the window seat, have the shade wide open.
I eclipse it.
You totally eclipse it. You're like a total eclipse of the fort.
I looked over. At the person sitting in the middle seat. It was like a little crescent moon because I eclipsed the window so much.
But I've been through it. I know what you're talking about. And I think technically it's the whole possession thing. If you've got the window seat, then you've got control of the shade. And I know I've been on flights where people have the shade up and maybe they don't realize it, and the flight attendant will come around and ask them to close the shade, and most people do. But I was on that flight recently where the lady, she just didn't want to put the damn thing down. And again, that was like the only window shade on the entire flippin' flight that was left open.
You know what else I do? If I'm in the window seat, I'll ask the person next to me, hey, I'm going to put this up or down, whichever it is. Do you mind? Are you okay with that? Because I want them to have input too.
I open and close it like every 30 seconds.
Like a child.
Just to be annoying.